We are going to explore a fascinating world of fashion and retail. And today I have a special guest, Pau Almar, the author of The Magic of Fashion. And with over a decade of experience at Zara and Mango, Pau is an expert in the fashion industry. Now, his book provides a captivating look into the strategy behind the success of top fashion brands through a fictional narrative, something that we haven't seen for a long time in retail books, and that reveals the intricacies of purchasing, pricing, distribution, and more. So join us to dive into Pau's insights and the stories behind the book. I'm really happy to meet you, Pau. We have been LinkedIn connection friends for a long time. And I'm impressed by your background and significant experience with both international brands that we all know, Sarah and Mango. But can you share how you began your career in the fashion industry and what initially drew you into this fast fashion world?
Super. Galia, first of all, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure. As you mentioned, we've been contacting through LinkedIn for a while, and it's a pleasure to be here today with you. So, answering your question, I have a very rare background. I studied computer engineering, and I realized that that was not what I wanted to do in my life. So I decided to do something different. I didn't want to start coding. So I said, why not auditing? So I spent 8 years auditing. And after 8 years, I realized that I was far more creative and I needed to do something different. So I finally did an MBA at ES Business School. I changed completely my mind. I changed completely my profile and I started working in Mango. I started working in Mango in the menswear division, doing the numbers. Basically, when back at the time, Mango was starting the menswear division, we didn't know how to do it with menswear. That means we were really good at women's wear back at the time, but we didn't know what to do. So basically, what I did was setting up all the numbers of how much we needed to buy, what was the forecast for each of the stores, and so on and so forth. Then
Mm,
after 2 years, I moved to Zara, where I had the opportunity to meet and to work within the most mature fast fashion model. Where I worked in distribution, which is a part of the commercial department. That basically what it does is allocate the stock that is purchased throughout the network of all stores worldwide. So what you have to do basically is understand what the trends are, what the demands are, and try to match the demands with the trends. Right.
mm,
As part of this, I was really lucky to visit many of the countries where Zara is located, and I did many of trips visiting the stores, visiting the teams, and this is kind of the idea of my book. Right? My book, as I will tell you later on, explains one of these visits that I did many times to these countries. So this is basically it, right? After 10 years, I decided to move back to Barcelona, when I was born, and I left Zara and I started working for other companies. Currently, I work for a company called Lime. Lime basically it's the company, the brand that took the hole that Zara had when left the Russian market. So basically, what I'm doing is helping them
establish or
stop.
fill in
Yeah,
that gap.
it's not established. It's getting into a new level of of,
Mm.
of management based in many of the best practices that I took from Mango, Zara, and other largest players in the world. So basically, what we did is after 2 years, we replaced Zara in the Russian market. We are currently the largest brand in the Russian market. It's been really hard, and that's basically what I've been helping all the team, all the super team we had in Russia to do this, which has been really amazing and really difficult for all the team.
Interesting. Actually, whenever we talk about anything related to retail, there are lots of difficulties. And
Definitely.
it's not an easy job, but we love it, right? So let's talk about the book. There are many things that have happened, as you said, during your lifetime that
Mhm.
inspired you to write the book. The Magic of Fashion, as we know, blends this fictional narrative with everything you have done through your real industry insights. So let's talk about what inspired you into writing the book in this format and how you did balance between storytelling and all the technical concepts that we should learn about when talking about retail.
Super. I mean, I travel a lot in my back in Zara, back in Mango, and right now. So what I do, one of my favorite things to do while traveling is to have one book and start reading. So I read and a lot of books. So one thing that I realize is that basically all the books, more or less, or most of the books, they do more or less the same. They present an idea in the first 50 pages, and then it goes over and over the same idea. So I wanted to do something different, and I think why not? Let's make up a history, and let's go through this fictional story and add more or less new insights of how the different fast fashion companies work, what they do, what they don't do, what the strategy is. So basically, what I wanted was to entertain through a fictional story, so that it's easier for everyone to understand that if you are not someone who is very into retail or very into fashion, that you can read it and eventually get some ideas and have one story that can entertain you. So basically what I wanted was to entertain while at the same time giving some insights of a strategy. It was very difficult to for me personally to do something like this because I had to learn a lot about two things. I mean, the non-fictional is kind of easy. It's kind of natural for you and for me who have been working in retail for a while, but writing on a fictional manner that is far more difficult. So you have to fully understand how I'm going to explain this, how I'm going to explain that, and that is a personal learning process, which for me was very, very interesting.
Hmm. And in the book, you have like two main characters. Your character, Chris, shares details and insights about the fashion giant that you call Zika. And based on your experiences, what are the most surprising strategies that successful fashion brands that you worked for, like Zara, employ to stay ahead in the market?
Yeah, there is one thing that is very shocking to many people who don't work in the fashion industry, and first one is that everyone thinks that all the same collection goes to all stores worldwide, and that is something that you expect when you visit a Zara store or a Mango store anywhere in the world. You expect to see the same that you saw in Paris at home, and you visit Russia, you visit the United States, and you expect to see what you saw last week in Paris. So however, this is not the case. There is one
Mm,
part of the fashion which, of course, is global, and that's part of the image. But when you go into detail, into such article or such other, is when you find differences, right? And this is precisely one of the things that I learned a lot in both Mango and Zara, and it's the full understanding of what are the local demands.
mm,
So the trick here, or the magic here, is once you have the global trends, how you adapt it, how you select them, and how you complement them so that they can fit into the local needs.
right.
That's extremely difficult. That it takes a lot of data analysis to fully understand how it works. A lot of phone calls, a lot of visits, a lot of communication with the stores, with the retail networks in the country. So this communication feedback and this data analysis is quite probably one of the key elements that eventually what you see is that when you visit one store, it contains the full image, but certain articles are absolutely different. It is very shocking. But for instance, in Brazil, there are two stores which they are 50 to 100 meters one to the other, but when it goes to the customer has nothing to do. One is more office, The other one is more trendy, more high traffic. So, I mean, they are far away, around 100 meters, one to the other, and the customer has nothing to do. So
And
understanding these and changing the product selection and understanding the visual merchandising and changing slightly while having the overall image, this is what brings a lot of good results in big companies like Mango or Zara.
right. And it is all about these local specifics, understanding and immersing into the market. And
Mhm.
interesting that you said it because I have been a militant of that idea for a long time. That fast fashion was all about. I mean, we were schooled and taught for the past 2 decades that fast fashion is all about numbers. Like you only just read statistics and you apply. But then we started understanding that no, we need to go to the local touch point. We need to examine. We
Mhm.
need to observe. And it's shocking, but beautifully shocking to see how a brand who had installed two shops like at 100 meters away has two universes and two client bases, which is really, really nice and fashion.
One thing
So,
that you mentioned, Galia, and let me step in, but I think that is very important. Fast fashion, it's an art and it's a science at the same time. So there is a science of doing the analysis of the numbers, but
of
again,
course.
it's is understanding what the trends are, how everything is going to evolve. So the more you train this commercial intuition, the better. And that's one of the things that you understand more or less in the book.
Mm,
It's not only about numbers. It's not only about it's fully understand. I mean, when you see the trends and you say, okay, out of these trends, these are going to be commercial for my brand, and you test this over and over and over, is when you fully understand, okay, this is what the trend is, this is what the market is going to go, but my customers will are going to like only this or only that. And this is the part of art which is very difficult to teach, and only by doing is what you learn.
right. Very interesting. Thank you. And moving on with the book, Paula, the protagonist, learns a lot about scaling her sustainable cosmetics brands from her interaction with Chris. So there's this discussion, there is sharing of information and insight between these two people. And so, what are the key lessons from fast fashion that can small or emerging brands apply to grow and compete in the market, in your opinion?
Um, Basically, I mean, when you work in for smaller companies, what they lack is kind of the structure, kind of the mentality of how to uh, how to name the collection, how to create the structure of what a collection is, of what the product is, how to name, and how to fully understand what the model is, right? So that is when it comes to you have certain things that they certain products that they change over time. Sun creams, sun creams, for example, they change all over the year. I mean, they are not the same for winter sports than for summer. And the product evolves throughout the year. You have basics, you have collections, you have different sizes. So this is understanding these and understanding how all this picture, and to write down and say, okay, this is going to be my product strategy, is something that is key for understanding, for at least setting up the pillars of what you want to do. Once you understand what your product is, what your product is not, what you need to have all year long, what are the sizes, um, if you need or you need not to do discounts, if you need or you need not to do promotions and all this, it's when you fully understand, okay, now that I know what the product is and what my product strategy is, now I'm gonna start to concentrate on selling,
Mhm.
right? But this pillar is precisely this model is something that these smaller companies can fully understand of the big ones. And once they have this, the rest is cookie cutting.
Mhm. I have worked a lot with fashion brands to set up their brand architecture, as we might have called it
Hmm.
once. And as you say, it's a very big challenge because suddenly the company feels that they are in a moment of going into scaling or maybe growing into different markets locally and maybe nationally, internationally. And then they come to that point where everything is messy because there is no clear structure. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how they are allocating their money into building the
Hmm.
collection. And then what are the types of products that should be key, bestsellers, etc. And it's a whole universe of teaching, etc. And when people like us come and try to give the insights or help these companies, we might get into a lot of trouble because we don't have
Hmm.
the background or education. And in your 10 years or 15 years of experience, have you also had these challenges with people who don't understand the importance of structure in the fashion industry, fast fashion or luxury even?
Sure. I mean, one thing about fast fashion and fashion in general is that usually has a lot to do with egos of founders, egos of designers. So
Yeah,
it's precisely this of bringing structure to this collection is a key or bringing structure to the brand is something that usually is a direct attack to these egos and to these founders. I mean, these have been working for a long time. We are here. So you add up more structure. We don't really need this structure. So these are continuous fight between creative and more engineering or more numerical approach. So this is something that really happens, right? It really happens. As I mentioned to you earlier, fashion is about art and it's about science. So I mean, it's normal that this happens. So the fact is that eventually these type of profiles, this yin and yang, they need to find a
a
balance.
balance.
Definitely, and this balance, it's not only numerical, it's also art. It's just managing this type of egos to fully understand that with the use of certain structure, the results are going to be easier. That everyone is going to fully understand what the vision of the brand is, and once they understand the vision of the brand, everyone will follow the same direction because everyone will understand what the objective is. So the more you do this, the better. But of course, I mean, it's not easy. You have to work a lot. But so far, what my experience tells you is that whenever these type of profiles start understanding the benefits of bringing culture, they are into it and they push and push and they want more and they want more type of this structure. Structure sometimes it's very complex. Processes and organograms and this, and sometimes it's as easy as saying, okay, let's sit together, let's chat, let's find an agreement between 5 or 6 people, and once we have this, let's communicate. There is no need for a lot of formalization, right? When
Mm,
it comes
mm.
when it comes to both Zara and Mango, both structures, they are extremely agile. So that means that there is no much writing, at least in the commercial departments. There is no much writing. There is no much PowerPoint. So it's just hands on the job. We reach an agreement, 5, 6, 7 people, and then we transmit this to the teams. But there is no more formal. So this agile manner, usually, according to my experience, is what works more efficiently in the fashion. In order also to cope with this super creative founders and designers who absolutely hate all the numbers and all the structure. So, but however, going into a soft manner of introducing this structure really brings good results.
Right. And given the rapidly changing consumer preferences, as you said, and the growing emphasis on today's sustainability, where do you see the future of fashion heading, and what innovations or shifts should we anticipate in the next few years?
Sure. I mean, there is one thing that actually you and I who live in Europe, we will see in the short term, and it's all the regulation when it comes to
Sustainability.
the Green Deal, and all these in the European Union.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I mean, there are a lot of brands who are making efforts, but only regulations like this really make the difference, right? So we will see that this is the starting. There are certain ideas of replicating something similar to this in the United States at a different scale. So definitely the sustainability is here to stay because of the regulation, right? I mean, and that means that nobody will say, am I gonna do it or I'm not gonna do it? Is it more about marketing or is not about marketing? Now we all have the same rules, and this is what we have to do, right? Up until now it was more about marketing. Right now it's what it is. So together with this, the new generation, especially the Gen Z, they have something which is very curious, because at one time they are kind of evangelists of the sustainability, but at the same time, many of them they buy thousands of units and of very bad product at Shein and Temu, and for Gen Z, this is not wrong. I mean, they can buy Pangaya, and at the same time they can buy Shein or Temu. So this is a trend. This is actually what happens, right? So I mean, there are many of the Gen Zs, they are not fully into sustainability, right? And at the same time, they are into low price. This is a tendency that we've seen in many countries. Only if the EU regulations change the playground, especially when it comes to Shein and Temu, this is going to change.
And do you think, like today, the discussion with sustainability is directly associated with two sides of the spectrum, either or. If it's
Hmm.
sustainable, then it's higher priced. If it's not sustainable, let's say, it's
Hmm.
lower priced. But do you think that we have maybe a ray of light and sunshine for the upcoming years where brands will start integrating sustainable models in their businesses to hopefully try and be better, more
Hmm.
qualitative, but still maintain a rational price for the consumer? Because believe it or not, even if the Gen Zers are very clear on their actions, like, okay, I'm militant for sustainability, but I can't afford it. But we also have come to an understanding where other generations who also would like to invest or
Hmm.
maybe can invest in sustainability are finding these brands very much expensive, and the quality is not really hanging up to that level. Or we're saying, like, okay, it's not worth it to pay for a t-shirt 60 or 70 euros, whereas the quality can be found in the same cut and style with a t-shirt with
Hmm.
priced at 3 or 4 euros. So there is a discrepancy here. In your opinion, are companies starting to integrate that in their mindsets, in their business models, and hopefully be better and greener in the future?
I mean, I 100% agree with what you say, and what I can tell you about my experience in both Zara and Mango. Both are super big players, and the same might apply to Primark, the same might apply to H&M. So basically, they gather together and from time to time, and they see what the best opportunities are and how to manage these. Because, for instance, when it comes to organic cotton or recycled polyester, for the past years, the demand has been increasing year and year and year. So there has been more demand than
Mm.
offer. So that doesn't make sense, right? More or less, since these big players they are forced by regulations and they are forced by the public scrutiny on having these sustainability objectives. Um, and they are super big. Eventually, their approach has been, I want this product to be fully sustainable, but I'm not gonna pay more. Right? That's
Right.
that's that's more or less the target. That's the target of Zara or Mango or H&M. So basically, what they're doing as big companies, they're kind of shifting all these organic into the suppliers. So it's the suppliers who, after this change in the regulations, they need to yes or yes, because they do not have any other option to reconvert themselves into sustainable, right? So basically, out of these outstanding power of the big players in the fast fashion industry sitting together and forcing the largest suppliers into the sustainability, what this is creating and will create over the time is that suppliers will be ecological at the same price or they will not be. Right? I mean, there are certain nuances around here. I mean, it's not it shouldn't be. So sometimes the big players like H&M or Zara, they might pay slightly more, but the idea is to shift all the change into the all the changes into the supplier, right? So this is what changes the whole industry, because otherwise,
Right.
I mean, the regulations and the power and because if you expect that the model is going to be like, I'm going to pay you more for organic and less for non-organic, eventually what this happens is that all the suppliers will create two different lines of production, the sustainable and the unsustainable, and this in the long term does not make any sense. By
Right.
by gathering together all the big players and pushing a lot and shifting the change to the suppliers, this is what's creating all the change. What is the thing? If you are a smaller brand, you don't have such bargaining power, right? So here, what smaller brands who don't have this bargaining power, these are the ones that will suffer. These are the ones that will pay more compared to Zara, H&M, Mango, because they don't have the bargaining power to shift all these necessities, all these targets of sustainability to the suppliers.
Right. Unless, like in a hypothetical situation or an ideal situation, the supplier himself becomes more adaptive of being sustainable in its
Sure,
practices.
sure, but
Yeah,
that's precisely the idea. I mean, after
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
all these I mean, we are putting all the incentives so that the suppliers
Supplier.
eventually become like this, because otherwise you cannot work
Exactly. In
in
the
the European
industry.
Union.
Yeah, yeah. So as someone recognized as a top voice in the global fashion and retail, and with a passion for teaching and working in retail, what advice would you give to young professionals or students who are looking to enter the fashion industry and make an impact in the fashion industry?
Well, first of all, and this is something that I learned in every company and every brand that I work for, the core is the store. So that means the longer you can spend in one store, working in the store, understanding the customers, understanding the visual merchandising, understanding the operations of a store, understanding how a product looks in the store. This is the definitely where you get all the pillars so that eventually to build a career upon them. Otherwise, the fashion industry, if you don't work in the store,
Mm,
you miss a great deal of what's going on, right? So
exactly.
this is for young people. So if I came back to the university, I would work during the summers in the stores in order to understand how it was. I know that it's not easy, because when you're studying in the university, you think that the world is gonna come and gonna ask you for everything, right? So it's difficult to go to one store and start working as in the bottom of the pyramid. But eventually is when you get all the insights of how this outstanding business works. And only if you understand that, then you are able eventually to become a manager and to try to make the change, right? That's basically my approach. And more or less it applies also to many of the managers in the industry. You cannot work as a manager in the headquarters without understanding how the stores work. So
Exactly. I mean,
so in
it's the school for all things retail, right? It's
yeah,
what shows us whether our operation is healthy or not, whether we share the same visions or not, whether we understand the business operation or not. And even today, Pau, having been there and done that, we all have been into the stores. and have had our share of physical pain and psychological pain in the
Exactly,
store.
that's it.
Like, I mean, I cannot put other words to that. Today, part of your day to day is also going back to the store. But today you go back with a new set of eyes. I mean, do you spend time observing, reassessing, looking at people, at customers, at visitors, and going back home and reassessing everything that you have seen that day in the store?
Definitely. I mean, I there is one thing which is whenever I go and visit stores, first of all, the store is not only the shop floor. The shop floor is what everyone wants to see and what everyone understands. If you get to the stock room, you see many things which usually they are often hidden to many people, right? And it's exactly where the business is. How
Mm-hmm.
much you have, how much you don't have, how you store the things, if you're going to be able to replenish the sales or not. So actually, first of all, it's not the shop floor; it's also behind the scenes, right? And getting to understand that is extremely important. In addition to that, whenever I travel, I spend as much time working in our stores than in our competitors. And it's when you realize how the customers how the visual merchandising is, what the customers are doing, what bags they're bringing from different brands. And this is a lot of understanding of how this works, right? And once you understand how the customer looks like in that commercial mall, in that street, and what the trends are is when you can go back to the store and ask the store manager, I've seen this, I've seen that. What do you think about this type of customers? What kind of customers do you have? Is it weekend store? Is it week store? And then it's when you understand. So it's just as part of my job, it's a lot of what you were saying, observation. It's
Mm-hmm.
fully understanding not only our store as a whole, but also the competitors in order to understand what the demands are and what the customer is willing to buy.
Interesting. Thank you. And my last question with that regards would be, have you observed over the years a change or a shift in people who are working for retail? Maybe 10 or 15 years ago, when we were younger, retail has meant many things to us. It was a career, it was something that we aspire to work for and to grow with. Do you think that today, people working in retail, especially at store level, at store management level, still share that feeling and love and passion for a career in retail?
I mean, every generation is different, right? And the thing is that quite probably the Gen Z, who are the ones starting to work, they have a different mindset when it comes to the stores and the online. So definitely, this brings a huge change in their minds. Many of them, they are more into understanding the store as something as an extension of the digital life, right? So definitely, I mean, the mindset of many of these of the newcomers is absolutely different, right? So they are more passionate. They are more into sharing. They significantly think the store as something that you and I 15 years ago we thought as okay, this is the career. No, now the store is something absolutely different. It's a place to stay. It's an experience. And these people, what the newcomers, what they want is to be part of this experience. Especially, I mean, one of the a clear example is Apple. The retail specialists in Apple, they are people who love the brand,
Mm,
right? They are agencies, and for them, it's very important to be fully aligned with this vision of the brand, right? So for them,
great.
is significantly more important than the career. So I say
Mm,
I am an Apple specialist, so that means that I know much more than many others, and for me, it's reinforcing. So that's kind of the idea of this agency and newcomers to the retail. If you're able to explain this and so that they are capable of understanding and becoming brand evangelists, it's what you have to do. Doing as we did in the past, okay, this is going to be your career, and no, this doesn't work. So the mindset has to be completely different. The newcomers for the retail, they should be part of the brand. They should be brand evangelists, and they should feel and experience the brand, because the way they perceive the store is like an extension of the of the
of
of
the
the of the
self.
of the self of the brand, and that's precisely. I mean, very few companies understood this and understood that the language and the mode of communication should be adapted in order to cater for the generations.
Right, which also pressures brand managers to help them rethink the importance of transmitting a clear culture, a brand culture to the people who are going to be working with them. Wow, very interesting. Thank you, Pau. Pau, is there anything else that you would like to add to conclude on this conversation?
No, I mean we didn't mention anything about pricing. Pricing is one of the things that I love when it comes to selling fast fashion. The psychology behind pricing is extremely important. It's extremely important. And in the book I go through different strategies, what it means discounting, what it means the sales, what should be done during the sales. And this is something that usually, when it comes to fashion, we normally don't think about pricing, and pricing is it's extremely relevant, starting from the design and getting downstream to the store, right? One of the key striking things that really make a difference is when you start the designing of understanding who your customer is, and understanding that for a dress they're gonna pay between this price and this price. So when you're designing, you have in mind that they're gonna pay between this and this. You cannot make something lower, because they will perceive it as lower quality, and if you go up,
They will not purchase
they
it.
will not purchase it. So I mean, the pricing for me, it's something that also was kind of shocking for me all throughout these years, and I didn't understand for many years until now. After 10 years, I fully understand that. Okay, now I understand what the pricing is. So branding, pricing, shopping experience, all these, they are very interrelated one to the other. So definitely thinking of pricing, it's very, very relevant.
Right. And it also goes back to the idea, as you said, of understanding the brand's positioning and its positioning vis-a-vis the consumers. And today, with maybe if we're talking about pricing, with this change or shift into towards the experiential, theatrical, sensorial, and then experiential retail, do you think that brands have also played it the right way into tweaking a little bit the pricing, or maybe shifting a little bit on quality and costs to push it downwards? And then with the presentation of more experiential stores or concepts, they could recoup a little bit on positioning to keep selling their
Mhm.
brands with the right pricing, as you want to say. Is there this interplay between a lot of psychology and a lot of mathematics?
Definitely. I mean, here you mentioned two things. I mean, for an extremely good brand, there is no need to talk about prices, right?
Mm,
So prices are far away, right? So when it comes to luxury, usually the people who buy luxury, or the target customer of luxury, they are not into understanding into looking for the price, right? So
mhm.
price is the second thing. When it comes to fast fashion, the pricing is very
Is
relevant.
everything.
Is
Exactly.
everything, right? So it's not everything, because for instance, if you see the latest editorials by Zara, you will see that in the e-commerce they will not show the prices for the editorials. But
Mm,
that's made on purpose. It's more about feeling. It's more about customer experience. So here it's not about the pricing. Once you see something and you click, then the price appears. Right. This happens in the editorials, but they don't happen when you go for and search for dresses. When you search for
right.
dresses, then you so here what a company like Zara is saying is that depending on your mood, and depending on what you're gonna do, if you're gonna go for the editorial, which is going just for entertaining, there is no prices. There is branding. It's okay. I like the image. Okay, if I'm gonna go directly for the purchase, when I know that I'm gonna buy a dress, then you show the price, because the price is very relevant. Depending on the company, depending on the brand, it might be more or less important, right? Especially when it comes to lower prices, to Primark, Kiabi, and the likes, the price becomes more and more relevant, right? When you're trying to upsell, and this is something that you will see that both Zara and Mango are trying to do with the premium collection, it's more about the sensation, it's more about the customer experience, and forgetting the prices, right? Eventually, what they have to bear in mind, and this is something that is very shocking in Zara, is that these premium collections, they are in many cases more about image and less about the commercial making money, right? So it also helps on upselling the rest of the product. So that means
Right.
that basic that used to sold at $9.99, now I can sell it for $12.99 because I have editorials with Steven Meisel, with Fabian Beidon, and this type of guys, right? Even though they are not commercial, they're not going to sell. This helps me to push the rest of the prices up. So understanding the pricing dynamics, it's very relevant. Understanding the relation between branding and pricing, and the different types of customers and the different types of moods when a customer gets to the store or gets to the e-commerce.
Right. Very interesting. Anyway, this is a session of its own, talking about pricing strategies, and what have been brands doing for the past years is really interesting. And I hope we get the chance to talk about it more thoroughly. Pau, before we conclude, I want to thank you for this conversation. I hope that the book works well and inspires as much people as it inspired me. And I hope that we get the chance to learn more about your future projects and developments in the retail industry. Thank you so much, Paul. Can you tell us before we go where we can find your book, and through which sites?
Of course, you will find it in Amazon. That's super easy, and in all the countries in Europe and the Americas. It's just to browse either my name, Pau Almar, or the Magic of Fashion, and you will find it there. And that's it. It's the most convenient manner as of today to sell books. So that's basically why I did it like this. And it's also the most sustainable, because each one is printed on demand compared to other editorial, which is not very convenient, or they're printed in bulk, and then some of them, they are not sold. So also thinking into the sustainability, I decided to go through this manner of publishing, which is very convenient for everyone, very sustainable, and people anywhere in the world can buy it. So I encourage them to go and search, and if they like, say thumbs up, send me an email. I love to receive the feedback, as you know. So I encourage everyone who reads the book just to send me an email. I will try to do my best to respond, because I'm always very busy, but it's always super encouraging for an author like you and me to receive an email from the readers.
Of course. Thank you so much, Pau. I will be sharing the information as well as soon as I share this session. Thank you so much for this beautiful conversation, and all the best with your future projects.
Thank you, Galia.